This is only for deconstructionists. We don't hang your hat on this. If deconstruction, you've been hanging your hat on this, I need you to understand what this really means. So since this is only for deconstructionists, I need everybody else to just scroll on by, scroll on by, scroll on by. This is not for you. But we cannot use this to hang our hat on for deconstructing, because the way that we present it, or it has been presented by many deconstructionists, has actually been incorrect. And I'm going to teach you how to present this so that there was just clarity of understanding, and how it still yet helps you to deconstruct, but not in the way that most people who talk about it utilize it. So like I said, this is only for those who have deconstructed. Can't let them know our secrets yet. So here's the thing. He says, sir, I have a question. Can you, in your unique fashion, give your thoughts on the biblical verses of Revelations 22:16 and Isaiah 14:12? It seems that both of these are mentioning the character in the Bible that is referred to as the morning star. However, those characters are vastly different. I am curious as to your thoughts on this. Thanks. You're absolutely right. The characters are vastly different, incredibly different, so different that they're not even connected to one another. But oftentimes people like to say that Jesus was called Lucifer, and Lucifer is the devil, and Lucifer is Satan, and so on and so forth. And that is so far from the truth. And even though we do not agree with this book, we always stand on truth. So what is the actual truth of this whole situation of the use of the word Lucifer? So, first thing we have to do is understand that the word Lucifer is a Greek word. And even though the Isaiah scroll was written in Aramaic or Hebrew, the fact remains that it was written during a time frame of whether they were during the time frame where they were being conquered under the Persians. So it was written Hellenistic. It was written right before the Hellenistic period entered into the Levant. But then, so when it was converted over, the word that was used means shining one, but also referred to the planet Venus. And the Greeks, when they converted it into the Septuagint, they utilized the term Lucifer to just mean the shining one, the light bringer, because to the Greeks, the light bringer was also the planet Venus. So when they converted it to Lucifer, meaning the planet Venus, or the shining one, the one that comes before the dawn, they meant a planet. Now, Isaiah 12 is talking about a king who needs to humble himself, or he will fall from the sky like the shining one, like Lucifer, like the planet Venus. And so the planet Venus, in the morning, it looks like it falls from the sky at the raising of the sun, because as the sun shines brighter, you can no longer see the light of stars. Like, stars are out right now. You just can't see them because the light of the sun is too bright for their light to supersede the light of the sun. So the philosophy behind it, the advice behind it, was about a king who did not have any humility, and he needed to humble himself to the greater light. So it's a philosophy of him humbling yourself to the greater light, or the greater God, or the greater being, used in a religious context. But it's talking about the planet Venus. Lucifer has nothing to do with Satan. Satan is a title given to an angelic being who is an adversary to the God in heaven, according to the Job story. But the Satan is a Sumerian word that just means the ruler over the earth. This is why Christians say that the devil has rulership over the earth. That was a title given to Enlil, as he was the Satan of earth, according to the Sumerians. When that got converted to the Akkadians, the Assyrians, the Babylonians, and so on and so forth, it started to just mean the adversary to the ruler of the Anunnaki. So because there was a period there was adversarial conflicts according to their stories, but it just meant adversaries. And so the Hebrew took that to mean adversary. So the prosecutor in heaven against Job was called the Satan. Plus the Satan had rulership over earth. He was walking around earth. Remember, he said he was going back and forth, walking around earth. So the Satan was also a representation of Enlil having rulership over earth and reporting back to Anu. Now, So it had both those philosophical and historical connotations to it. By the time the Hebrews get it, which is getting it thousands and thousands and thousands of years later. So of course words change their meaning over all that time frame. Our language is alive. All languages are alive. So the Satan and Lucifer have absolutely nothing to do with one another, right? If anything, Ishtar or Inanna was relatable to Venus, not Enlil, not the Satan. And I'm not even going to go into the serpent because the serpent ain't got nothing to do with either one of them as well. So Lucifer has nothing, the bright morning sun, the star, has nothing to do with the Satan, so which it has nothing to do with the devil. Now, that's about humility in Isaiah 14:12. In Revelations, when it says that Jesus is the morning star, the Lucifer, it is saying that because Revelation is such an apocalyptic writing, and Jesus was an apocalyptic preacher, he didn't exist, but just for sake of the book, he was an apocalyptic preacher. In Revelations, when it is mentioning that he is the morning star, he is bringing the light. He is bringing revelation. And that's what revelation in itself means, coming into a knowing. So when you see the morning star, the shining one, the morning star, that the light of day comes next. And because those people feared the night, then whoever is bringing the light is looked upon as someone good, someone great. The person in Greek and Roman culture who brought the light to light the lamppost throughout the night, throughout the city, they were the light bringers. They were illuminating the darkness. So this situation in Revelation is this Jesus illuminating the people, bringing the light, but it is still referring to the planet Venus. It is still not referring to any being called the devil. So in deconstructing, we can see that this is really just their use of astrotheology to be able to look at the stars, look at the heavens, and they develop characters and attributes and utilize them also as metaphors in order to talk about these beings, because at the end of the day, they were all sun worshipers and light worshipers. They were worshipers of nature, but by this time frame of first century, they had become more deities, more believing in deities having rulership over nature instead of the worship of nature itself, and that these deities created it and caused it. The book of Revelation, though, is a bit different, because now by first and second century, when Revelations was written, a more hardcore monotheistic and a more hardcore ethereal God that is the ruler over all things, and not these individual gods who rule different aspects of nature, was in place. So their mindset in Revelation is completely different from Isaiah, where in Isaiah they still believe that God's determine if it rained, God's determine if storms come, and things of that nature. So there's a huge philosophical differences, but it still demonstrates that the writer of Isaiah thought that gods control all the mechanisms of the universe, and multiple gods did so. And it was a story about humility, still about Venus, but in Revelations we got more monotheism, more closely related to what people believe today. So they're vastly different, and we shouldn't hang our hat on it, but it is still a demonstration of how this book was written as a fear tactic, as a controlling mechanism, but with a belief that we know that science supersedes today. Venus doesn't fall. It's a planet. It's not a star. It's a planet. All right. So we understand those things today. So I hope this has been helpful in your understanding and how to use this when you're deconstructing, not in the way that many have, for the most part, just bastardized it because it sounds good. It sounds more incriminating to say that Jesus is the devil. It sounds more incriminating, and it sounds better, and it makes even the deconstructionists and those who have deconstructed feel better. But As I like to say to Christians, I'll say this to you guys as my closing: fuck your feelings. It's about facts.